Hello, I'm Brittany and I'm really excited for today's video. Today I will be collaborating with Shana over at Smelly Skin. Shana is just absolutely lovely and her channel is a phenomenal resource for everything on skincare and fragrance. She really goes into detail with different luxury brands that she's tried, and she's also very interested in fragrance and she buys designer fragrances and niche fragrances, and I swear anytime she describes a fragrance she makes me want to buy it. And she and I have traveled on a very similar path in terms of our skincare journeys. So we were both using Biologique Recherche around the same time. It is how I discovered Shana. I was watching her videos and then later on we connected. We were both ride or die BR girls. We've both explored the line very extensively, but we both have very different skin types. So Shana has a more oily skin type, whereas I am more normal to dry and very dehydrated, and I do have type 1 rosacea. So we thought it'd be fun to talk about our experience with Biologique Recherche, talking about the best and worst products, or our top and bottom picks from the line, since there are many different products to choose from, and we know it can be very overwhelming when you are first diving into BR and you have no idea what's going on or what the difference between the different serums are. So we are going to go through our top and bottom picks in order of the BR skincare routine, of which there are 11 steps. So get cozy, this is going to be a long one, and we are going to start off with cleansers. Okay, so for cleansers, I don't really have one that I hate necessarily. I think the BR cleansers are very elegantly formulated and they feel very nice on the skin. But for my skin, my top pick would be Lait EV. So this is Biologique Recherche's most hydrating cleanser, but it isn't the thickest cleanser. The thickest I would say is Lait U, that has a much thicker texture, and I find that one harder to rinse off, whereas the Lait EV, it's silky and rich. It does have a different scent from Lait VIP O2 and Lait U, but I quite like the scent. Again, scent is a very polarizing subject. You're either going to love it or hate it with BR, I think, and most of the time you won't enjoy it. But I went through 3 bottles of this cleanser and I really did like it. I did try the others, but Lait EV would be my top pick for my skin. It never left my skin feeling stripped, and it just felt very hydrating, but it didn't leave it with any residue, which sometimes I felt with the Lait U. I really did enjoy that cleanser, and that would be my top pick for those who have similar skin types to me, which is normal to dry or dehydrated skins. Now, I never used any of BR's cleansers to take off my makeup. I always use them as a second cleanse, just because even with the Lait U, I never felt it was quite enough to really get the makeup off in the way I wanted. So I always went in with a cleansing balm before any of the cleansing milks. So that's just something to bear in mind as well. But you can always just use the same cleanser twice, right? You could use the Lait U twice or the Lait EV. It really is up to you. So the next thing you're going to do in your BR routine following your cleanser is going with an exfoliating toner. And this is probably BR's most famous product. It's what got me into the brand in the first place, and that is P50. So I am based in Canada, and in Canada we don't have access to all the other wonderful P50s like the original and the 1970 and V and W, and no, we don't get those. So the only ones we have access to are P50 T and P50 PIGM 400. And since I have rosacea, I prefer the PIGM 400 because the P50 T is more acidic, and since it is more acidic, it has a lower pH, so it has a higher chance of triggering my rosacea, which is definitely something I don't want. So I find with the PIGM 400, it is nice. I would prefer something a little bit more intense. Like, I am dying to try the P50 1970. But this is nice. I do have other exfoliators in my routine now that I do like using. So I don't use this every day. I use it maybe 2 or 3 times a week now. But it is a product that I will continue to repurchase, as it does give you that BR glassy skin look and that BR glow that we all covered. So it is a really nice product. I just do wish that Canada would not be so uptight and it would just let us use all the P50s. I did also try Lotion MC 110 and that is okay, but it's very similar to Serum 3R, which we'll talk about later, and I found I just went through the MC 110 so quickly, so that's not a product I would really consider getting. I mean, for me, it was just like mostly money down the drain. It didn't produce any like noticeable effect on me, and for how quickly you go through that product, to me, it's not worth it. Next, BR recommends that you move on to masking. So they encourage this daily, that you go on with a P50 and then you put your mask on. I did not have time for that, so I typically used a mask around once a week, like on a Sunday or something, and I really did enjoy a lot of their masks. My top pick is Masque Biosensible because I found it was not only hydrating but just so calming and cooling on the skin, and I did notice that if I had redness that day, it did make it go down and subside. So that is a product that I really enjoyed. If my skin got to a place where I felt I really needed something to just cool it down, I would repurchase that mask. I do think it's a lovely mask. And it is one of the BR products where I did notice some effect from it, and I did think that it delivered on its claims. So the Biosensible mask contains milk proteins, vitamin B3, grapeseed oil, and macadamia nut oil. And the oxygenating complex that's specific to Biologique Recherche. I'm still not sure how I feel about the oxygenating complex that BR often markets its products on, but the mask itself is filled with ingredients that are very lipid restoring and protective, so I really do love this mask. The runner-up to this one I would say is Masque Visolastine Plus. That one is very moisturizing, however I don't find it reduces redness that much. I do still have a little bit of Masque Visolastine Plus left. I had to cut the tube and then I decanted it into this jar so you can see the kind of texture this mask has. Put some on my finger. I leave mine in the fridge. So you put a thick layer of this on and it does feel very, very moisturizing. This mask doesn't have an offensive smell at all. In fact, I'd say it's a very delicate, inoffensive scent, which is very atypical of Biologique Recherche products. So my top two recommendations for masks would be Masque Biosensible and Masque Visolastine Plus if you have skin that is dehydrated, or if you have rosacea and you want to reduce redness, those two masks are excellent choices. I did forget to mention one product, the oxygenating mist, so the L'Oxygenant. That is a lovely mist. It is the only mist that BR offers, and I went through bottles of that stuff. I went through it so quickly. I don't know what it is with me and mists, but it's always such a short-term romance. It's just, I just love on it, and I find I'm spraying, 20 spritzes on my face at a time, and I just cannot help myself. Okay, now we're moving on to serums, and here's where things get a little bit sticky. Biologique Recherche categorizes their serums into 3 different categories. So we have quintessential, targeted, and finishing. So first we're going to talk about quintessential serums, since that is what comes next in the routine. So serums I liked include the original placenta serum. I have tried the new reformulated placenta, and while the smell is much more bearable, I just found it wasn't effective at all. The reformulation just stripped any efficacy from the product, I find. It went from having actual placenta to then being a lab created product. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but It just wasn't effective and it was just money down the drain for me. But the original placenta was amazing, but you can't get it anymore, so I won't talk about it too much. One of the reformulations that I really did love was the Colostrum VG. This is one of Biologique Recherche's hydrating serums. In fact, it is the most hydrating serum. Now, my one beef with this is that you're going to give yourself carpal tunnel trying to get that liquid out of the dropper. It is so thick. I really think they need to come up with some other packaging for that product because it is annoying to squeeze it out of the bottle. But unlike the original colostrum, which just smells like something died inside of it, the new one has a quite pleasant scent. In fact, I would go as far to say that it doesn't really have a scent. It is very inoffensive. And that one felt really lovely to use on the skin. It made my skin feel really hydrated. But what stopped me from repurchasing it was that packaging, because that just got really annoying to do every single night. I mean, I would have to squeeze to the point that I was shaking like this, and that's just not fun. I want my skincare to be relaxing. But if you do have a dehydrated skin type and you're after a serum that's really effective, then the Colostrum VG is amazing. They just seriously need to work on that packaging because it is so thick and really annoying to get out. So the Colostrum VG is a lipid restoring product. It provides the water and fat required to hydrate your skin because it restores the water content of the epidermis. And I did find that it did that because my skin was just left feeling quite hydrated after using it. So if I was particularly dehydrated that day and my skin had that tight feeling, then putting that serum on top just felt really, really lovely, you know, once I could get it out of the bottle. So the original placenta and the reformulated colostrum, so Colostrum VG, are my top picks for the quintessential serums. Okay, so next we have the targeted serums. Now, I have to admit, I'm not in love with any of these serums really, but if I had to choose one, I would choose Serum Tool, for TEWL. It is more like an oil, so it is very hydrating for the skin. TOOL stands for trans epidermal water loss, so this serum is designed to prevent that and to make sure that your skin stays hydrated. But in terms of hydration, I do think that Colostrum VG is a much more effective product than Serum Tool. It's just if I had to pick one out of the targeted serums, that's the one I would pick. Next, we move on to your creams. Now, Biologique Recherche has so many creams to choose from. It is pretty overwhelming when you're first entering the line because you have no idea what's going on or what cream is best suited for you since there are so many. Now, the cream that I really loved and went through many jars of is the Crème Vert Espoir AR. Now, this is marketed as a cream that is helpful for rosacea, but I really think even if you don't have rosacea, it is a lovely cream. You want to know how I know that? Because it did nothing for my rosacea. But it is a lovely cream. I find it has a different scent from the other BR creams. It doesn't have that yeasty scent that most of the other brown creams have. And it feels very silky when you put it on. It left my skin feeling really hydrated. It was like light yet very hydrating. I really enjoyed the texture of this one. It just does nothing for rosacea. But I mean, that was okay. I think it's a lot to expect anything from a cream to really do anything for rosacea and redness. I think you need something a lot stronger, maybe a prescription product for that. But in terms of my favorite cream, this one definitely takes the cake. Another good cream is cream, I think it's called VG Derm. That one's also a good one, but the smell, that has a strong yeasty smell, and I much prefer the texture of Crème Vert Espoir AR. So if I had to repurchase any BR cream, it would be that one. Next in the routine is eye cream, and the one eye cream I didn't experience a reaction to was the Biofixine eye cream. Even the Biosensible eye cream, I still had a reaction to that one. So Crème Biofixine, it has a very thick texture. I find it is the most luscious feeling of the eye creams. It feels very cooling and soothing, and the applicator that the Biologique Recherche eye creams comes with is very nice. It's very nice to massage in the eye area. I'm not particularly crazy about the eye cream, but it is a lovely eye cream if you did want to purchase a Biologique Recherche eye cream. None of the eye creams have a scent to them. They unscented. They don't really have a smell, so don't worry about that. I didn't repurchase any of the eye creams. I did explore the range, but none of them really wowed me enough. But if I had to pick a top pick, it would be the Biofixing. Next in the BR routine is apparently sun care. I hope I'm getting this right. I never purchased a full-size sunscreen from BR, but I did go through numerous samples and I found them quite tingling and drying, so no sun care makes it into my top picks list. Okay, next is finishing serums. This is one of the most confusing products that Biologique Recherche offers. BR claims that the finishing serums kind of like seal in all the rest of the products and make all the other skincare more effective. And back when I was a huge BR fan, I was all for this. I was all, oh yeah, can't believe I went without finishing serums before this. What was I thinking? So I tried the finishing serums. My favorite one was Lait O2 because the texture was really nice and it didn't have an offensive smell, but it's not worth it, I think. It is a nice product, but for how much it is and what it does, I didn't notice any difference compared to when I wasn't using this product compared to when I was, you know what I mean? It comes in a beautiful bottle and you feel very special when you see it. And when you use it, you think, wow, I'm doing wonders for my skin. But was I really doing wonders for my skin? Or was I just sucked into the whole story of this finishing serum? I think due to the texture of y'all, it can offer more hydration to the skin. But with everything else you do prior to this, I don't really think it's necessary. And finally, we have Serum Détente. I cannot put this in my top picks or best list just because this is pilling central. The undertones are really strong and the shade range isn't that great, and I could just never get it not to pill. I've seen other people use it with Creme Marks Vernix, but I don't like that product, so, you know, I could just never get Serum Détente to work for me. Okay, now we're getting juicy, because what are the worst or least effective products from Biologique Recherche? I had to think hard about this because Biologique Recherche, I tried so many of their products, right? And at the time, I convinced myself that they were working just so well and so beautifully. Like last night, as I was preparing for this video, I looked up serum erythros, okay? And I found a review I had put down about this product saying, this product is so effective, it's calmed my rosacea. And I just started laughing because I thought, no, it didn't. Why did you say that? It's because I was sucked into this BR vortex of, wow, everything is amazing and beautiful and wonderful, that I'm sure I convinced myself products were working when maybe it was another product that was working and I just used it in conjunction with that product at the same time. So I just assumed that was working as well. But yeah, I think there's something to be said for having a more concise routine when it comes to Biologique Recherche. Find like 2 or 3 concerns that you have for your skin and zone in on those, because it's very easy to think every single serum is important. I can assure you, you don't need 10 serums on your shelf, okay? It's just, don't do that. Don't ask me how I know. You don't want to be at your sink, grabbing these bottles, balancing them on your counter, just putting 10 different layers of watery fluid on your face, thinking, this is exactly what my skin needs. Because I didn't find that. Okay, I need to move on to the worst products over here. I have my list that I'm consulting. Now, like I said, there wasn't any particular cleanser that I hated. I think all of the cleansers are quite nice, but the one that I don't understand, or the one whose texture I wasn't the biggest fan of, was Lait VIP O2. Now, this is an unpopular opinion because I think this is the most coveted of Biologique Recherche's cleansers. I just found the texture to be quite thin, and I preferred a more luscious feeling cleanser like the Lait EV. I loved that one. So I think Lait VIP 2 is okay. I think you can find an equivalent sort of cleanser from many other less expensive lines. I don't think it's necessarily have to get it product from BR. I also tried Lait U. That is a much thicker texture. It's also nice. I'd say that's my second pick. But yeah, I wouldn't repurchase Lait VIP O2. It is one of those, it's fine cleansers. It doesn't do any damage, but it's not amazing either. You know what I mean? So moving on to the P50 toners. So like I said, I only have 2 options for P50s. So other than PIGM 400, I have P50 T. I find this makes my skin quite red and I could never really acclimatize to it. So I ended up just using it on my neck and on my arms, and that was fine. But on my face, I just found it was just, I wouldn't say too strong, because I didn't get that exfoliating feeling from it like I do with the PIGM 400 a little. It didn't even really provide a tingle. It just made my skin red. So unfortunately, that was a no-go. Thankfully, I didn't get the huge bottle of that one. I've gone through many a bottle of the PIGM 400, so I do love that. But yeah, the P50 T is a miss for me. Okay, now we're moving on to masks again. So for masks, like I said, I really loved Biosensible and Visolastine, but the one mask that just kind of did nothing for me is a cult favorite. It is Masque Vivant. Now, it has nothing to do with the smell, okay? We'll get to that in a second. But I mean, even if a product smells revolting, I am willing to sacrifice myself, okay? Like, I can do it. So it has nothing to do with the weird smell of Masque Vivant. It just did nothing for my skin. So all it really did was just sit around having my face smell, but my skin didn't look spectacular afterwards. And I've read so many reviews of this happening to other people, and I really think it is down to 2 things. I used the mask just once a week. I didn't use it more regularly than that because, I mean, I didn't have the time. And for my skin's needs, I'm looking at something to really hydrate and soothe my skin, so Masque Vivant doesn't really fall into that category. I was searching for that glow and glassy skin look, but yeah, it just didn't happen. If I had used the mask more often, perhaps I would have seen a better result, but I didn't have the time for it, or I didn't care to make the time for it. Now it does have that Vegemite sort of smell. I don't really mind the smell of Vegemite. It is a weird smell to have on your face, but I mean, I don't think it's the worst BR smell out there. I mean, can we talk about splenodermine? Holy moly. Even though it is a cult favorite and everyone says Masque Vivant is a must, you need to think about your skin type. This is the trap that I fell into. I wanted all of the cult favorites so I could make my skin like supermodel status. Because that's the fantasy, right? That's what we're chasing. Like, oh, I'm gonna get the skin of my life if I just buy this, and this. I even gifted Masque Vivant to my mother, because I thought at the time it was just so amazing and this line is so amazing. But I realized after a while this mask doesn't really do anything for me. I think I'm just convincing myself that it does. I think Shana quite enjoyed it. She said that if you use it more regularly, it does show a really nice effect. So I think this might just be down to user error over here. And I'm fully willing to admit and take the blame for that. But I'm not someone who masks more than once a week. So Masque Vivant just isn't compatible for me. Okay, I have really had to think long and hard about what my top worst picks for quintessential serums from BR would be. I have tried all of the Biologique Recherche serums, and I find many of them just do nothing. Like, let's talk about ceramic glyca for a second. So the whole thing with ceramic glyca is that it claims to slow down the glycation process in your skin. And what that means is when there's too much sugar in the body, protein molecules cross-link with sugar molecules. And this produces a new sugar protein, and these affect the role of collagen and elastin functioning properly. So it just accelerates the whole aging process. So this serum claims to have ingredients that combat the glycation process and help with aging and help with wrinkles. Now, I don't know about this serum. I think this is one of their strangest serums that they offer. I do have wrinkles forming here, and I didn't notice any effect on those. I have used products in the past that have a tremendous effect on those wrinkles and around my eye area as well. And I went through 2 full-size bottles of that, okay? Like, I tried. And I've seen and heard so many rave reviews about this serum, and I don't know, I really wish it worked for my skin too, but it just didn't. I used this product for nearly a year, and I finally resigned to the fact like, okay, this doesn't do anything, we need to stop, despite using it every single day. So for me, Serum Glyco is more of a strange choice. I wouldn't say like, wow, this is a horrible serum. To me, it's just a weird one. So one particular serum, which is a bottom pick for me, is Dermapore. It claims to tighten pores and make pores look more refined and shrink them and, you know, all that jazz, and it does nothing. And another serum is Collagen Marin, which claims to tighten the face. Now, when I first used this serum, I thought it worked, but it tricked me, obviously, because I repurchased it. All this serum does is give you that sticky feeling. So you can almost trick yourself into thinking your skin is tight because it's just so sticky, like it has that tack. It is a bit much to ask a serum to, you know, tighten our face. It just wasn't an effective product, and it was an annoying product to finish just because it felt so sticky and just did nothing. Now we have the targeted serums. So again, I wasn't in love with any of these serums, but the one that annoyed me the most was Serum Erythros. This is said to target rosacea and reduce the symptoms of rosacea, since the second ingredient is niacinamide. But again, I just don't think any of BR's products were either strong enough or potent enough for me to have really any big effect on my rosacea. This is a dark colored serum. It comes in one of the elongated bottles. And again, it just did nothing. Like, I convinced myself it was working. This is the product I found a review on last night where I wrote this glowing 5-star reviews. I think the first words I wrote in that review were, "This product does exactly what it claims to do." Like, no, it didn't. Why did I write that? I just felt, you know, part of the BR club, and I wanted to contribute. So yeah, unfortunately, Serum Erythros, if you're looking for a product for rosacea, I can't recommend that one. It did nothing for mine. I tried many Biologique Recherche creams before I found the Crème Vert Espoir AR that I love. Most Biologique Recherche creams are brown and have that yeasty smell. I'm not going to talk about those in my worst picks. I'm going to talk about a few others. So I was really looking for a cream that would give me that BR glow, and Crème PIGM 400 was said to give you that glow, and that made my skin so dry. It felt really drying to put on. I did not care for it. It has mica in it, so that's what gives you that glow since it's light reflecting, but it isn't a nice cream if you're looking for something hydrating. Like, don't let the mica glow fool you. It isn't going to really penetrate the skin. Another cream I didn't like is one of the cream masks. It is Cream Masque Vivant. This is said to form a protective layer on the skin to mimic the original composition of Vernix. So it's very rich in lipids and proteins, all that good stuff. What I didn't like about it was that it just felt so sticky to apply. I much preferred applying it as a mask. I think that is okay. But as a cream, it just had so much tack and it felt so sticky to put on that I just really didn't care for it by the end. In terms of scent, the scent is okay. It smells like some sort of banana product to me. Despite putting it in my worst list, I bought 2 tubs of this, you know, because I just heard it was so amazing. But I just really didn't like the sticky feeling with this. The next morning I would wake up and my skin would look okay. I wouldn't say it looked amazing. Not amazing enough to justify the expense on this product, but it is a very popular BR product. But yeah, if I were to use this again, I would only use it as a mask. I wouldn't use it as a cream. Another cream I didn't like was the Emulsion Gel Biosensible SR. Belonging to the Biosensible line, this is another one for sensitive skins, and SR stands for sebum regulating. I think this is good in the summer, maybe just in this area for me where I can get oilier in the summer, but overall it was just too drying for my skin. I got it because it was part of the Biosensible line, but ultimately it was just too drying. I also found that it pilled underneath makeup, so that drove me bananas. And the packaging on that product is infuriating. It comes with a pump, which I originally thought was fantastic, but the pump would always just not work. It would break or it would just stop working. It was very frustrating. I wasn't a fan of any of the emulsions really, but the Biosensible SR, that is my top worst pick out of the emulsions. I think it was just ultimately incompatible with my skin. I needed something much more hydrating, and the fact that it pilled was incredibly annoying. Okay, next we have eye creams. So I liked the Biofixine eye cream, and I think in terms of the worst eye cream, it would have to be the VIP O2. Again, I don't get this VIP O2 line. I don't know, what is it meant to feel like when you are oxygenating your skin or putting oxygen into your skin? Because I noticed nothing. Maybe I'm just clueless, but I just didn't notice anything. What I did unfortunately notice was a reaction. I did form a lot of red dots under my eyes, and that was very annoying. And I was persistent. I thought, okay, it's gonna work, and it just never worked out, unfortunately. I do have a particularly sensitive eye area, so perhaps that's why. It is really hard for me to find an eye cream that I love. I also tried the Biosensible eye cream thinking, okay, it's targeted for sensitive eyes, but that also gave me a reaction. So yeah, I don't think eye creams are Biologique Recherche's strongest area. I do like the Biofixine, but it isn't my favorite. And yeah, the other ones just gave me reactions. Now in terms of sun care, like I mentioned before, the sunscreens just gave me that tingling feeling. They dragged me out. I sampled all of them and I didn't care for any of them. The SPF coverage is also really weak. I think it's SPF 25 or something like that. I think there are much better SPF products on the market than what Biologique Recherche can offer. Okay, now on to finishing serums. So my least favorite finishing serum would have to be Silk Plus. It is one of the more affordable Biologique Recherche finishing serums, but man, that one just has a funky smell. Here's the smell, okay? To me. It smells like blood mixed with urine. I'm sorry. I wish I could come up with a better way to describe that smell, but I don't know why people aren't complaining about the smell of that product more often, because I don't see it in reviews. I don't know if I got a bad batch or something, but boy, that product was like, I really hated putting on that product. Even when people got close to me, they could smell it on me. Even if I was wearing perfume or something, they could smell the Silk Plus. So yeah, I did not repurchase that product. In terms of effectiveness, I didn't really notice any huge effect on my skin. It didn't do any damage either, but it wasn't effective. Like, I didn't notice anything happen. And yeah, just that god-awful scent was enough to have me running for the hills on that product. Just absolutely not. And finally, serum detente again. This is Pilling Central. Not my cup of tea, not a fan. It is like a very thin layer, almost like a BB cream, but not. It's an unusual product. I don't think it's one of their best products, so I can't recommend the serum detente. I don't really think it's worth it. Now, after using Biologique Recherche for years, I still use two of their products. I use the P50 PIGM 400 and the BioKiss, their lip balm. This is a beautiful lip balm. It is my absolute favorite, holy grail. I love it. I apply it before bed. I apply it before I put on my makeup. It is lovely. So definitely worth it to me. Zero complaints about the BioKiss. I think I have covered everything. I'm sure there's something I've missed. Oh, I didn't talk about Serum 3R. So Serum 3R, I believe that is one of the targeted serums. I didn't particularly care for this serum either. I didn't notice any effect, so it didn't do anything terrible to my skin, but I didn't notice anything wonderful either. So with Biologique Recherche, the main issue is finding a product that is effective and that you notice results from. It is very easy to convince yourself that a product is working when you are in love with the line or when you're using it in conjunction with another product that is working. And since BR has such an extensive line, it's easy to think that every single one is important, you know, money, 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 money. But that isn't necessarily the case. What I really think is the huge powerhouse in the Biologique Recherche line is the P50. She is going to take care of a lot of needs for you. She is very effective. She works well. I would say after that, get a mask from them that is compatible with your skin type. But in terms of the serums and everything, I don't really think they're effective enough, at least to warrant the price. And they come in these teeny weeny little bottles that you just go through so quickly. You feel like some sort of chemist, you know, because you got all these bottles at your sink, try not to knock them over. I really enjoyed the cream I showed you, but now I use other creams that I really love and that I find far more effective. And I did use Biologique Recherche for years, so I was a huge devotee to the line. I just found once they started reformulating all of the products to become vegan, many of the formulas weren't effective anymore, and that was frustrating because after being loyal to the brand for years and all of a sudden everything's changing, you feel a bit like, hang on, but I loved that product. I also think it's very easy to get carried away and think you need everything in the line, but you don't need all those bottles of serum. Just find maybe one or two that work with your skin, and then you could really enjoy Biologique Recherche. It is a beautiful French luxury brand. After a while, I have to admit that luxury feeling did wear off and it just became annoying to use the products, especially because they weren't working. And I don't mean not working in the sense that they were harming my skin, but they just weren't doing anything great for my skin. My skin did have some glow, but it didn't resolve or target my issues well enough. And I think that's because BR offers products for a very specific focus or a very specific concern, but the products aren't very potent. The most potent product is P50, and I think that's why it is so effective. And I understand the approach of gentle skincare. In fact, the skincare I use now, I do think is quite gentle, and the brand epitomizes that approach. But I notice results from it, which I stopped noticing from BR. So I really hope this video was useful in helping you decide what to choose from BR, or if you could relate to any of my experiences at all. Thank you again to Shana for collaborating with me on this video. She is a wonderful source on Biologique Recherche and other skincare brands. I strongly recommend checking out her channel if you haven't already. And I think it's fun to talk about our experiences with skincare, because what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person. And it's also nice to know that there are other people with you in the craziness, you know, like we can understand each other. So if you've used any of Biologique Recherche's products, or you're thinking of getting into the line, I would love to know what you think, what you've used or what you want to use. Drop a comment, let me know. Otherwise, take care, and I will chat with you on my next video. Bye.